Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, because since yesterday's video, we actually saw Bitcoin hold this trend line and got a little bounce from there as well. So fortunately for now, we are good to go, even though we are still in this downtrend on the 4-hour time frame. Though if we take a look at the support and resistance levels here in the immediate short term, it becomes pretty clear that Bitcoin is not out of the woods yet, even though yes, we did get a perfect bounce from this level of support that I mentioned in yesterday's video as well. But taking a look at the resistance here, you can see that right now Bitcoin is trading exactly in this level of resistance, sitting from 68.5k all the way up to 70,000 US dollars. However, if you do see the Bitcoin price trade above that level, we might get some short-term resistance right here at 70.5k. And yes, there is more resistance above that, but more importantly, we have this level of resistance right here sitting at 70.6k as of the time of recording. If we just zoom out a little bit to the daily time frame, you can see that this is a massive descending channel that Bitcoin has been consolidating in ever since the top at 73k right here. But yeah, I do think that at some point we are going to break out of this descending channel and we'll just blast off to the upside from there. Although of course in the immediate short term or just the shorter time frames, we can get a little bit more downside first. So that is why it is important to understand the difference between the different time frames. So for example, like I said earlier, on the 4-hour time frame, we have this downtrend right here. But if we just zoom out to the weekly time frame, I'm sorry for this right here. Anyway, but on the weekly time frame, we are in a clear uptrend right here, even though we did have a little pullback. Now, like I said, Bitcoin isn't out of the woods yet. So for example, we can just get a rejection right here from this level of resistance and trade back to this level, which is at 67.2k. But in the case that you do see the Bitcoin price trade below that level, well, in that case, the next big level of support is sitting at 66, all the way down to 65,000 US dollars. And more importantly, it corresponds perfectly to this Fibonacci level right here, the 0.618 Fibonacci level, sitting at 67.2k as well. And like I mentioned in my recent videos, this should act as a big level of support. So potentially you can see a bounce from there. And so far, that is exactly what we have seen. Now, in terms of the Fibonacci resistance, it is actually the 0.786 Fibonacci level right here, sitting at 70.1k. So those are the key price levels that you need to pay attention to for Bitcoin right now. And before I move on with this Bitcoin analysis, I do want to mention that if you are new here and you want to get access to my trading signals, then I highly recommend you join my Discord server. It's completely free. And you can also get access to the trading signals for free. All you simply have to do is join the Discord community with the first link in the description of the video that you're watching right now. It's a very active community full of people that are trading crypto every single day. And currently we have about 660 members in here. Now, in terms of getting access to the trading signals, all you really need to do is join the Discord, go to this trading signals access channel right here, and then follow these 3 steps. Now, a quick disclaimer for the people that are going to be joining the Discord server. There are a bunch of fake accounts that look exactly like mine that will probably be DMing you if you join the server. I've already contacted Discord about this and they don't do anything, and I also can't do anything about it. So just make sure to understand that I will never DM you if you join the Discord server, okay? So be careful with that. So moving on to the Bitcoin ETF in and outflows, what we can see right now is, first of all, that yesterday we got a net inflow of about $30 million worth of Bitcoin that was bought on Wednesday. And there isn't really too much to say about the individual day right here. Though if we do take a look at this chart, what we can see is that, of course, during this time, we saw a lot less interest in this area right here, where you can see a clear decrease in all the Bitcoin ETFs buying and also a decrease in the grayscale Bitcoin ETF selling. So there was just decreased demand for trading Bitcoin ETFs. However, what we can see recently is a little bit of an uptrend in these Bitcoin ETFs that are buying, and grayscale is still not selling too much. Although, of course, recently we had a big outflow day of about $100 million or so. But overall, what we can see is that grayscale is right now completely leaving the door open for these other ETFs to start buying Bitcoin and push up the price much higher. So that is something to keep in mind, so long as we don't see a lot of selling pressure from the grayscale Bitcoin ETF. In that case, if the other ETFs are buying, then likely they will push up the price much further. Taking a look at the 24-hour Bitcoin liquidation heat map right now, what we can see is that on this recent move to the upside earlier today, we took out a lot of liquidity right here, sitting at about 68.9K. And right now the price just looks to be consolidating here, though there is a noteworthy amount of liquidity sitting to the downside at 67,000 US dollars. Though zooming out to the 3-day time frame, there is still this liquidity at 67K, but there is also a lot of liquidity sitting all the way as high as 69.3K. And right now it looks like Bitcoin is gunning for that pocket of liquidity to just sweep all of those shorts out of their positions. And now lastly, taking a look at the 1-week time frame, you can see that this pocket of liquidity is still here that you saw on the 3-day time frame. But again, most of the liquidity is to the downside as low as 67K. So that is something to keep in mind. And again, that's the reason why it's important to understand the different time frames, because we can first sweep liquidity to the upside and then sweep liquidity to the downside. And I'm not saying that it has to play out exactly like that, but it is important to understand where the levels of liquidity are, because typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on the chart. So where there are the most yellow areas on this chart. And often what you will see, like for example, right here, is that there was a lot of liquidity right here. So Bitcoin just swept all of that liquidity to the upside and then traded to the downside and swept all of this liquidity right here, right? So it is very common to see that pattern play out, and potentially we could see something similar right here. Now taking a look at Ethereum on the 1-day time frame, recently we made another attempt at trying to clear that 0.786 Fibonacci level sitting at $4,000, but did not manage to clear above it. So we got a little bit of bearish momentum in the short term. And in terms of the next Fibonacci level of support, the next Fib level is the 0.618 sitting at 33.30 for the price of Ethereum. Though of course there are support levels in between the current price and that Fibonacci level. So let's take a look at those right now. And to get a better look of this short-term support and resistance levels, we need to zoom into the 1-hour time frame here, because the price action has been pretty choppy recently and even got a bit of bearish momentum. So let's take a look at it here. Ethereum is right now in this level of support. So potentially you could still just see a bounce from here. And this support level is sitting from 3,800 all the way down to 3,750. Though in the case that you do see Ethereum trade to the downside and then get a rejection somewhere in this level, then it actually flips it into a level of resistance. And on that next move to the downside here, it is likely to actually trade to this support level right here, sitting at 3650. But I do think for now, that is about it for the bearish scenarios, at least until I record my next video tomorrow. So if we do see a further push to the upside right now, then the next level of resistance is going to be right here at 3850. And if you do see Ethereum break through that level, then likely we will go up to this next level of resistance sitting at 3920. Yes, we might get some short-term resistance right here at 3870, but if we do get a good push to the upside with some volume behind it, then likely we go to this level of resistance right here. So now taking a look at the RSI momentum indicator on the 4-hour time frame, because recently we went into deep overbought territory when that Ethereum ETF news where it got approved came out. So obviously we got that massive bump to the upside in the RSI as well as the Ethereum price. But right now we have actually seen a very healthy correction in this RSI momentum indicator, resetting back to around that 50 level. So that is a very healthy thing to see. And if we do start to see more bullish momentum for Ethereum soon, then there is a lot of room to run to the upside for this RSI before it reaches overbought territory, which is whenever it reaches above 70. So that looks very promising. So in the case that we do just trade lower from here, then you must keep an eye on this 30 level on the RSI, because whenever the RSI is below 30, it means that Ethereum is in oversold territory, and usually there will be limited room to the downside from there. So it doesn't have to be exactly at 30. It can be when the RSI is at like 20 or 15 or something like that. But usually what you'll see exactly the opposite of like you saw right here is that the RSI needs to cool off a little bit and reset back to around that 50 level. And the way it does that is simply by Ethereum trading sideways or getting a bit of bullish momentum in the case that we reach oversold territory. So that is just something to keep in mind if you are trading Ethereum right now. Now moving on to Solana on the 1-hour time frame. And what we can see is that since yesterday's video, we got a perfect bounce from this level of support that I mentioned in the previous video as well, sitting at $164. And after we saw that bounce to the upside, we are now trading back inside this level of resistance, which is sitting from 167 all the way up to 171 for the price of Solana. But even more noteworthy is actually that we traded above this trend line right here and even got a confirmed 1 hour candle close above that trend line. So ideally, what you would love to see right now is to continue to have some more candle closes above that trend line, confirming it as a level of support. Though it is important to mention that on the 4 hour time frame, we have not had a candle close above it. So you cannot say that this is a level of support right now just because the price is trading above that level. So for now, this is just an important level to keep an eye on, and it is sitting exactly at $169 for the price of Solana. So in the case that we do just trade to the downside from here and break back below that 164 level, then you must start paying attention to the Fibonacci levels, because we do have this level right here, the 0.5 Fibonacci level sitting at $163. But in the case that this push does continue to the upside, we will reach the 0.618 Fibonacci level first, sitting at $174. But of course, there are levels of resistance in between the current price and that 0.618 Fibonacci level. Either way, if we do just continue to see a push up from here, and we break through that Fibonacci level, which in my opinion, if I was in a long position right now, I would probably be managing my risk around this 174 level, because that's the Fibonacci level. Then the next big level of resistance is sitting from 176 all the way up to 181 for the price of Solana. So those are the key levels that you need to be paying attention to for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. This has been today's market update. Make sure you join the Discord server if you haven't already. It's a great place to be. Thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.